lack of synchronicity with the device. Can you see, guys? Oh no. So, can you just show me how this is supposed to work? Like, what did I do? It's the other way around. Oh yeah, that one. Okay. So, my name is Tünde. I'm from Austria. And I'm doing a PhD in collaboration with Vrije University in Amsterdam, where I'm registered, and Ashridge Center for Coaching, and Case Western University in the United States. So we have been doing a longitudinal observational study involving 34 countries and 192 coach-client pairs. We were using videotaping and accompanying the coach-client pairs over 10 sessions during 8 months. So this has been a monstrous project, and I'm here to give back to the community. Especially, I'm here to give back to the Dutch community, because I'm deeply grateful for how the Dutch coaches have participated. We have got UK coaches and Dutch coaches, largely, who have participated, but also from Australia, so basically from all over the world. But the amount of coaches participating from the Netherlands is amazing. So I'm here to thank you. I know that this is an international conference, but I wanted to make a note of this, how grateful I am, because it seems to matter to you that our profession advances. So this is my purpose here. Okay, so we have been looking into what is commonly known as presence, but basically the theme is nonverbal synchrony. I don't know if you have ever heard this term before, if it rings a bell with you guys. And nonverbal synchrony in terms of movement synchrony. So we were analyzing the sessions, just the movements in the sessions over times, and we skipped the audio material. We had to, otherwise we wouldn't have received ethics approval from the university for this project for GDPR reasons. So we are really looking into nonverbals, just the responsiveness between coach and client over time. So this is called a nonverbal synchrony in coaching. And what I was interested in is how nonverbal synchrony, just the way that two people respond to each other, how does that affect the client's feeling safe? And there is a practical history to this piece of research. So, and the practical history is that I was having a session with a client of mine. And very early on in the session, the client was saying, Tünde, when you say you understand me, why does your body move back? And I thought, well, did it move back? I didn't even realize that my body was speaking a different language to what my words were speaking to her. And then she also said, well, you know what, I don't feel like this is helping, and coaching is nothing for me, and I think it's better that I leave. So I took up this moment and I said, okay, that's fine, I understand that. How about giving me one more chance to look into our relationship, to let's find out what had happened. And she was curious enough, and that's how we started exploring what might have happened for her in that session. And I found out that this incongruence between my verbal and the nonverbal language was due to some mental noise in my mind, and the disconnection between mind and body and the heart as well. Because when I was hired as a coach for that organization, the CEO had told me something very clearly. He said, Tünde, you better make this one work. And I do remember that I was talking to him and saying, well, I truly understand my sense of responsibility. I do have accountability in this process. But there are a lot more parameters at play here to make this one work. But somehow this pressure was there because the relevance why the CEO was saying this was that that particular female client was supposed to be promoted to board level. And in this organization, the diversity thing was very, very important. And it mattered to the CEO that this lady would become assertive among the men on board level. So that's why he was just caring. But the way he had said it, you better make this work, somehow had left a big mark on me and how I showed up very early on in the sessions. So then I started looking at this. I was like, what is this? What is this? I don't know what this is. Why does my body speak a different language? So then I found out that there is presence in coaching, that there is, but we don't know anything about this. We have a lot of concepts. We have ideas. We know that it matters, but we don't have any evidence how it works and how does that impact the clients feeling safe, so their self-regulatory capacities. So then I went out there and I was like, wow, this is present in nature. Look at schools of fish. These are individuals. Fish are individuals. That's something I learned, so I'm not smart here, so I don't want you to believe that I had known that before. I just got curious and I found out that fish are individuals. But when you look at them, they are so self-organized and coordinated, it's mesmerizing to behold how they are like on the radio control. So how come? And when they move, this is so synchronous. So how do they do this? They don't speak with each other. So I found that fish have got lateral lines along each side of the body, and they can perceive the slightest pressure changes in water. And when that happens, so they move, they make a movement, then another fish will make a movement. So they are not communicating on a larger scale, they're just communicating with each particular neighbor. And they will not be conducting the same movement. Because as you can see in the picture here, so they are together, but performing different very complex movements, but they are not similar. Not necessarily similar. They're just responding and staying together. And then I thought, okay, so this is probably also something that's going on in organizations, that when we look at them, so they are so self-organized and structured. But it depends on how well each individual is organized and coordinated with the other, and at a larger scale that will make up the big picture that we can see, the ripple effect. Okay, so what I'm interested in is the spontaneous of responsiveness. I'm not interested in this imitating body language. So for example, when you are nodding your head, then I will also start nodding my head to make you feel safe, because I don't think that this might have helped my client, because we're not stupid, no one is. And we will notice very early on if a movement is genuine or not. So that's what I was interested in. So how can we respond spontaneously in a timely manner, so just in time such that somebody else's need can be met. So this is a question of adaptability, and for the other person a sense of safety. So how can we create a sense of safety for them to self-regulate? So how can I achieve that my client feels safe enough so that she can self-regulate in difficult moments when we work without leaving and disengaging from the process? So, and this is called attunement. So this is what I found. Now, what I was interested in, so how do we measure this? How do we measure energy like this in the room? So before I started out, my professor was saying to me, Tünde, if you want to contribute something at all, make sure that you, like the CEO, he was talking to me, right? So make sure that you get enough population. So I was recruiting coaches for 6 months with their clients, because this is an observational study. We were not conducting experiments, so the coaches were taking the clients that were ready to come on board. So we did not select and match the coaches and the clients. So this is a very natural process that we had been trying to look into. From 34 countries, and we only hired professional coaches. And we had originally 192 processes in place, but we had to select. Not all processes turned out to be long-lasting enough for us to look into them, because we wanted to look into 10 sessions over time. So, and then we used MEA technology. I'm not sure if that rings a bell to any one of you. MEA stands for Motion Energy Analysis. This is a software that was developed at Bern University in Switzerland by 2 psychotherapists. So this phenomenon of looking into energy and responsiveness between 2 people had been investigated before in psychotherapeutic sessions. And then I thought, okay, so would that work in coaching also? Well, in mind that coaching is a different process than therapy. This project has received a Harvard grant because of the technological complexity, the large scale, and all. And it was also accredited by ICF, the professional organization for coaching. So, in this project, because I was able to recruit so many people, I thought, okay, so why don't we make 2 predictions? Today, I would like to speak only about 1 prediction. Prediction how interpersonal synchrony at a nonverbal level impacts self-regulatory capacities in clients and how that actually impacts then goal attainment for clients over time. And as a moderator, to what extent might the relationship potentially strengthen or weaken this relationship? The other prediction is about personality as a process, but I don't want to go into that today. So, MEA, how does that work? This is really fascinating stuff, guys. So we were not watching the videos, because then I would have gone cuckoo in my head if I needed to look at each video session. And the minimum number of minutes that coaches were asked to have is 30 minutes, so 30 minutes each. Some coaches were having longer sessions, but we just took 30 minutes for comparison's sake. So we take the videos, I have to mark the body parts that we want to look into, and then the software will turn the whole thing into grayscale images. And I hope that this will work. Can you see, like, so grayscale images means that the real video is turned into black and white depiction. So this is what I can see when I watch the video, so I'm not watching the videos myself. And then you can see how the software is comparing responses in time lags. So what the software does is comparing pixels, frame-to-frame changes, over time. So now, what I would like to show you today is, what is funny? And what is funny about this? Oh, yes. And this is just 110 cases. And this is at time 1. And we took only 110 cases because I'm not sure if you're familiar how recordings work, but each recorder will tape different numbers of pictures per second. So 110 cases had 30 pictures per second. And we can only compare similar amounts of pixels per second. And the other cases are not included here because we have to kind of like compare if there is 29 pictures per second or 25 pictures. So we had to kind of like separate these things. And there's a software that will then combine them together. So to stay authentic with the data, I'm just showing you 110 cases at time 1. Now what you can see here basically is a beautiful bell curve. And 0 means actually that that's the point when coach and client were actually moving synchronously with each other. Left and right actually depicts on one hand the client and the other hand the coach. And it's interesting if you look at this, very easy to understand actually, it's a lot of data, yes, but when you can see it's the client who is leading. And we have thought, or there is a lot of belief about this, that it's the coach who needs to be present. And now the question has arisen in me that like, oh, wait a second, maybe this is not just about the coach, this is also about the client. So the client has got the capacity to inform how the coach will show up. And this is fascinating because it means that this is a dance. And it's not just about educating the coach how to be present, it's also about understanding that the client will impact the coach incredibly much. So basically what we understand by synchrony is that a movement that comes in response to somebody else's movement within 5 seconds. So that's why you can see the 5, 5, and 5 on each side. So these are seconds. When a movement response comes within 5 seconds, it's genuine. And it creates safety. Any movement that comes beyond the 5 seconds loses its effect on self-regulatory capacities. Why do we know this? Because psychotherapy has already conducted studies into this. Okay, so what we see here is when we have synchrony, how do we measure self-regulation? So after each session, the clients were asked to 2 minutes. I've got 2 minutes, okay. clients were asked to complete post-session questionnaires. So to kind of like to investigate to what extent they felt safe in each session. What we can see here is a negative correlation, which is good because it means that the shorter the time lags between the responses, the higher the self-regulation of the client. And in real data, it means the only figure that you might be interested in is the 0.835. This is an R, like a Pearson correlation value that is very, very high. So we know now that there is a very good relationship between synchrony at a nonverbal level. We are not talking yet about what was going on in terms of conversations in those sessions. We're just talking about how movement impacted the clients feeling safe. So, and now this is another revelation, is that from session 6, as you can see here, we were measuring then time 6 and time 10. What happens is something different. I forgot the line here. So after session 6, self-regulation, synchrony stops mattering. Until session 6, you see a very good correlation, and then there is a reverse correlation. Self-regulation keeps increasing, but it's nothing to do with synchrony anymore. And that's where my wisdom stops. We do not know now what to do. We just know that somehow some other mechanism seems to kick in. So self-regulation still continues very nicely, but we don't know why. So that will be the next step, to look into the data further to find out what other things seem to matter after session 6. What happens with the response time? Same. So the responsiveness, the synchrony levels are the same. No, not significantly. Maybe 0.1 second or something. So no significant changes. So, and then what I'm leaving you with today is I'm coming back to the Netherlands. On 28 November, I'm presenting at the NOPCO conference. And the day after, I would like to deliver a masterclass about how to apply what we have found. So I'm leaving you with this invitation to, if you happen to be around on the 29th of November, please come to this masterclass to learn more, because I just had 15 minutes to speak here to explain, to give you a glimpse into what I'm passionate about. And it will be in Utrecht. So if anybody would like to reach out to me, so feel free. This is my contact details. And I partnered up with an embodiment coach also to together make sense of and to create this program. Thank you very much.